Because yeah, nothing changes and nothing changes, man. You know, we'll sit around forever wondering, well, what if I was a dog catcher? Would I be the best? What if I was
Every day we change the world, but to change the world in a way that means anything, that takes more time than most people have. It never happens all at once. It's slow, it's methodical, it's exhausting. We don't all have the stomach for it.
What if it's a mistake? It's a mistake. Rest assured. What do you know? You're going to stumble around, right? And what's going to happen is this. You're going to not stay in stasis. You're not going to wander around in circles. And I see people like that. They said, well, I never knew what to do, and now I'm 40. It's like, that's not so good. That's not so good. And you might say, well, and there is a literature too that suggests that people are a lot more unhappy when they look back on their lives about the things they didn't do than they are about the mistakes they made while they were doing things.
That's how they get you to give up. They say it's not that simple, Vinny.
So what's the truth?
That it is.
I want people to understand that they're not alone, that there are other people feeling exactly the way they're feeling, that their behavior is not insane, that they have a disease, and it's not their fault. There's a very famous kind of line that people don't change. I happen to know that people do change, and I see that every day. I see people getting better. I see the lights in their eyes come on.
There's a million excuses I could make to rationalize not getting up early, doing the ice bath, and going for a run. But there comes a time when all these potential excuses turn into fuel that motivates you to keep going.
So you got to get out there. You got to give it everything you got, whether it's your time, your talent, your prayers, or your treasures. Because remember this, you will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse.
If you want to know something about yourself, sit on your bed one night and say to yourself, what's one thing I'm doing wrong, that I know I'm doing wrong, that I could fix, that I would fix? It's like, you meditate on that, you'll get an answer. And it won't be one you want, but it'll be the necessary one.
This is the whole issue. People have a feeling that they can change, but they have no effort. They don't want to get in the game because they feel it's just too much time and it doesn't work. And I tried it and it didn't work. And then they give up and then life just goes on. It's seamless. You don't see it. It's just the way you've been living it.
And my older brother, who was 12, got into an electrical accident and he died in my arms. And really come to terms with that I was the one who got to live. That this life that we live, it's a privilege. And when I really started to take that in, I felt this tremendous urge to do something with my life, to do something that mattered, to matter. My biggest fear.
At some point, everything's gonna go south on you. Everything's gonna go south and you're gonna say, this is it. This is how I end. Now you can either accept that or you can get to work.
You gotta fucking stop. You gotta stop with all this I can't catch a break bullshit. All the time you're complaining, you could be instead hustling. You could be instead chasing your dream. You could be instead figuring out what you're doing wrong, trying to improve certain aspects of your life, getting your shit together, reading a book, meditating, something. Fucking something. But this I can't catch a break shit is not helping anybody, and it pushes everybody away from you.
Until you say, yeah, I'm gonna take action. Nothing changes if nothing changes, man. And I'm not preaching at you. I'm just, I just want to remind you, because I've spent a lot of time in my life sitting around wanting things to change, and not being able to make them change, and not thinking I could. And I wish somebody had told me that earlier sometimes. That in order for something to change, there needs to be change.
You cannot stand still, because the world moves away from you if you stand still. And there's no stasis, there's only backwards. And so if you're not moving forwards, then you're moving backwards.
How much harder will you work in this offseason now to get back to the championship? I'll push myself to exhaustion. Cubby, we thank you for your time.
I feel like we sort of focus on right ways and wrong ways too much. And I think it's, in a sense, sort of scary to just be born and live life. And I understand the idea of kind of grasping onto a particular thought of wanting to kind of feel like you somehow have a handle on the unknown. But you know what? The unknown is the unknown.
Every time you have changed, you feel pain. You stepped out of one relationship to another and you feel pain. You leave one neighborhood to another and you feel pain. You go from one job to another and you feel the fire of transition. See change as growth. See change as transformation. See change as evolution. See change as necessary. See change as critical. See change as inevitable.
I think the best way to prove your value is to work, is to learn, is to absorb, to be a sponge. But you always want to outwork your potential. You know, as hard as you believe you can work harder than that. You know, so like I always had that extra chip on my shoulder. So like every day in practice for me was really trying to annihilate everybody that I was playing against. Because I wanted to prove you don't need to babysit me. That competitive nature, the work ethic, and curiosity.
And so if you're not willing to be a fool, then you'll never start anything new. And if you never start anything new, then you won't develop. And so the willingness to be a fool is the precursor to transformation. And that's the same as humility. And so if you're going to write your destiny, you can do a bad first job. You're going to get smarter as you move forward.
What happens when I decide for myself that I'm going to do something different?
It's hard to stay governed by anxiety. It's hard to be inconsistent. It's hard not to have daily disciplines. It's hard not to believe in yourself. It's hard to be broke. It's hard to be poor. It's hard. It's all hard. So choose your heart.
You really think after everything you've been through up to this point, you can't make it out of the pains of your current situation? You think the power involved in just being a human being skipped over you? I don't think we're dealing with a lack of capability here. So I think you need to make the decision to become the person you want to be.
Do what you want, have a dream, go after that dream. Quit playing small. You were meant to do great things. And listening to these words, if you hear that small voice, piping up inside of you right now, that is your call to greatness.
Nothing changes if nothing changes, man.